If you've seen any of my recent videos, then you've seen me playing this guitar. Let's talk about what makes this guitar so special. Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to my studio. So, what makes this guitar so special? Well, in essence, when I built it, I took specs and features from a few different guitars that I loved and kind of mashed them all together into one guitar. For instance, I knew I liked the flatter radius of a Les Paul style guitar and some of the Super Shredder guitars. So I went with the neck from a Fender Deluxe Stratocaster, the ones that were made in Mexico, because it's got a 12-inch fingerboard radius. So that closer matches the other guitars that I love so much. Also, it's got that big honking 70s style headstock that I've always loved so much. So that was a bonus. Next is the body. It's a Stratocaster body from an American Elite Stratocaster. I like it because I'm a big fan of alder wood. And it's got this cutaway up here, which is great for access to the higher frets. As an added bonus, the screw holes, that offset pattern there, perfectly matches the screw hole pattern from the neck of the Deluxe Strat. So again, bonus. Now, the bridge is a Wilkinson VS100N, and I've got string saver saddles on it from Graphtec. For me, those are essential. I've got a heavy right hand, and I go through some strings, and the string savers really do help me. My tuners are just the stock Fender locking tuners. I've been using these now for several years, since 2016, and I have never had a problem with them. They have a nice ratio, they're tight, there's no give or play, and I stay in tune great. The pickups are all Seymour Duncan. I've got a JB here in the bridge position, a classic hot stack here in the middle, and a vintage hot stack in the neck position. That combination, to me, it allows me to get so many tones. Now, I've got it wired. First off, the tone pots are all disconnected. I don't use a tone pot because I'm always mashing my hand into it and hitting it. I never use it, so I have it connected. I've got this first one here. Now, the first switch is a push-pull. And that is a coil splitting switch for the JB, which actually sounds really good with the coil split. And I'm using the front coil. This one is also a push-pull, and that activates the neck pickup. So when this switch is pulled, and I'm all the way in first position, I get these two pickups. If I switch to second, I get all three, which is actually more useful than you might think. So basically, it gives me several switching positions. And with that flexibility, I can nail down pretty much any tone I need to. Yeah, it might not be perfect, but I can pretty much pull a convincing tone for any song you throw at me. So after playing this guitar for a couple years, I had pretty much worn through the frets. I was just about seeing wood in some spots. So when I was about to take it in to have it refretted, it dawned on me, why not just get stainless steel frets? I play a couple hundred gigs a year, so I wear through frets quickly. Might as well have some stronger frets. Now, the stainless steel frets, they feel smoother. They last pretty much infinitely longer. I mean, I've been playing this guitar since 2018, and you can barely see any wear on them. And it's got thousands of hours on it. So I'm a huge fan, and I highly recommend stainless steel frets. Now, as I mentioned in my Stay in Tune video, the nut slots, I generally fan those out on the back end of them so that when I'm using the tremolo, when the strings tighten back up, they're not catching at the back side of the nut. And that really helps me with tuning stability. I generally tune once before the first set of the night, play a 90-minute set, and then tune before the second set of the night, and that's it. I don't usually have to tune at all during a set. To me, that's rock solid. I've never had a Floyd rows stay that well in tune. So that's pretty much it. There's no magic, no voodoo, no nothing, just a few options that help this guitar to play great, to sound great, and to be super flexible. Some people ask about springs. I use 3 springs in the back. I use 10 through 52 gauge strings. I like a nice heavy bottom end on there. The 10 through 52 to me feels perfectly balanced. Okay, so I've been bragging about this guitar, how good it sounds, how flexible it is. Let's check it out. I'm gonna start with a nice, pretty clean sound, go to the 4th position on my switch, and you get something like this. I've turned the chorus effect off so you can just hear the sound of the pickups. There is still some delay and reverb, but I like delay and reverb. Back to the 4th position. Okay, I mentioned how good the JB sounds with the coil split. So this is 1st position, the JB coil split. Now, if I go to 2nd position, I can get that kind of, that quack. Now, I'm not a country picker, but my buddy Travis Newman could tear this sound up. Okay, so I'm going to move to a sound now with a little more drive to it. This is actually a profile I did of my deluxe reverb. And of course, for those bluesy tones, the neck position is just great. And naturally, you can get some real good funky stuff out of it. Now, I haven't really touched on the middle pickup on its own because really I rarely use that, but it does sound great. So here's the middle pickup on some funky stuff. And of course, with the JB in the bridge, it kills for rock stuff. Now I just switched to another profile that's got kind of like a plexi-ish vibe. And for lead stuff, oh. Okay, so the guitar I've been showing you through the first part of this video, that's the first one I built. I built that in July of 2016. About a year later, I started getting the itch again, so I built this one. Now this one, as you can see, component-wise, it's identical to the first. Same American Elite body, same deluxe Strat neck, same pickups, JB, classic hot stack, middle hot stack, and same switching, disconnected tone pots, Fender tuners, stainless steel frets. Everything is pretty much identical. Now this guitar does have a little bit of a different sound, a different vibe to it. I'm not really sure how to put my finger on it, but I think a comparison of the two would make for a good video. If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments below. Now this guitar to me seems to sound better for kind of a Stevie Ray Vaughan or just kind of a bluesy, husky kind of sound. It's a great guitar, I love it. Now, on most gigs, this is my backup, and that's a good place to be. If I break a string on my main guitar, I get to play another killer guitar, so bonus. Now here's my third build. I built this one in July of 2022. Something about July, I don't know what it is. This is Big Blue. That's what my girlfriend calls it. Or Fred, that's what her granddaughter calls it. So it's Big Fred Blue, I guess. But this is actually the guitar that I use as my number one on my gigs, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But this one, I set out when I built it to build it the same as the other two. That combination works for me. I love it. I just wanted a blue one. I got the deluxe Strat neck. I had that on another guitar actually, and I could not find a body from the American Elite. Fender had moved on to the American Ultra body. It's very similar. The only difference is your neck heel here is a little bit different. Notice it kind of slopes in here. And also, you have a little bit of a bevel under here for your hand. So those two combined makes it really comfortable to get up to the high frets. So to me, that's an improvement. I'm thinking about maybe getting the others done that way because I've gotten so used to it and I love it. Same three pickups, the JB, the classic hot stack, and of course the vintage hot stack. Tone knobs disconnected, push-pull on both of them, coil split and neck on. Now, there are a couple of differences on here that I'm actually getting ready to change soon. This one doesn't have stainless steel frets yet. I'm actually taking it in next week and going to have that done. And I'm thinking about going with a smaller vintage fret size. The other two have the fret size that match the original frets of the Fender Deluxe Stratocaster. And they call them, I think, thin, tall. I have the stainless steel equivalents to those. But I'm thinking about going with a lower vintage fret size in this because I like that on some other guitars I have, so why not? The Fender tuners I had on here were really rusted. They were in bad shape, and I didn't have any new ones laying around. Wintertime's not a real good money time for me, so I went ahead and put on some of what I have, which are the Schaller locking tuners. Now, the Schallers are great tuners, but I actually do prefer the Fenders, and as such, that's going to be changed this week as well. Just got that new set in today. But there's just something about the feel of the Fenders that I like better. So those are going in next week. Now, the reason that Big Blue has become my main Strat for my gigs is because I've got to grab so many different tones at a moment's notice. This one sits right in the middle of the other two tone-wise. The Sunburst doesn't quite have the low-end girth that the black one has. The black one doesn't have the upper, mid, and high-end sweetness that the Sunburst one has. This one's got a little more girth than the Sunburst, not quite as much as the black one though, and it's got that high-end sweetness. So it just works out perfect on my gigs. So I'm going to go back to this low gain setting here. Ooh, that was sloppy. Anyway, that's kind of the bluesy sound for this one. For rock stuff. It's just got a great mix of both of the other guitars. And as a number one for my gigs, it's incredible. Once I get the stainless frets on and those Fender tuners, gonna be perfect. So that's pretty much it. Again, there's no voodoo, no crazy magic or anything like that. They're just guitars with some features that I like that work really, really well for me, and they're super flexible. I love them. If you like this video, and if you haven't already, please hit the like button so that YouTube knows that people like my video, and they'll in turn share it with other people, and then more people can see it. And while you're down there, why not hit the subscribe button so you'll know when I put up some new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.